Trump Truth Commission T+4, it is Saturday morning, and objectively, the networks have now projected Biden as a projected winner for Pennsylvania, which means he is the president-elect. Subjectively, woo! It's about time. 4 long years of this stuff, and there's going to be weeks and weeks of legal challenges, but this is a huge day for U.S. and for the world, I think. That's my opinion. Back to objective. There's the projection of the result, and very, very brief stuff. I'm not going to do any videos, but there still needs to be some fact checking on Trump's stuff. That's his whole family, but primarily him. They're still saying the exact same falsehoods about the election. So I'm just going to go off of a few of his tweets and just talk about that. First is that he won by a lot. That is, first of all, false. It's ludicrous. It's laughable for him to say that. First of all, he doesn't know that, and votes are still being counted. Secondly, it is false. He didn't win by a lot. He actually lost by 4 or 5 million popular votes. But certainly things were trending for the Electoral College for the last couple of days, where Biden was going to win and Trump was going to lose. That's what happens when the opponent wins. So Trump did not win. He did not win by a lot. So those are both massive lies. Secondly, tweet, tens of thousands of votes legally received after 8 p.m. On election day in Pennsylvania. There were votes that were received. The state law does allow postmarked ballots to come in that date and actually be counted if they're postmarked that day and to be counted afterward. Now that's being legally challenged, and I get that, and they're separating that, and there's a court order saying they have to do that. Fine, that's part of the legal challenge process. But they're not illegal votes until they're determined to be so. And if so, they would then be thrown out of the vote count. Most likely, the volume of ballots being contested there are not going to change the results anyway, even if Trump were to be successful with his legal challenges, but it's a valid thing. That's part of our process. So that's a false claim, at least at this stage. He also then claims in another tweet that this would change the election results, not only in Pennsylvania, but in many other places. Yeah, no one knows for sure, but people know pretty sure that that is not true. It is very difficult to change the results, and if you find some faulty ballots, typically it's going to be on the order of tens or hundreds, maybe, certainly not thousands or tens of thousands that would be needed to change the election totals. There are some narrow states, and so if there were a few thousand votes that came in afterward and were discounted, that could make a difference. So I don't know that as fact, neither does he. However, these are most likely not going to have any effect, even if he is somewhat successful in his legal challenges, and that's a falsehood on his tweet. Next one, bad things took place during, it said bad things took place during those hours where legal transparency was viciously and crudely not allowed. It was allowed, and it was allowed for both parties, and they had to follow rules, but they were certainly allowed. He's made that case in various different places. So Detroit, for example, where he said that the observers were not allowed, they were allowed, and by certain counts there was over 200 Republican or observers allowed in. I can't remember if they were Republican or not, but they were allowed. So that's false. People were claiming the same thing. Corey Lewandowski and lawyers in Pennsylvania saying they're not allowed access. They have been allowed access. So they're just saying falsehoods. And then the fact that they're not allowed access the exact way that they want it to be means that that there's something's being hidden. So that's just them complaining about how the rules are implemented. Now, if the court decides that, hey, they did something wrong, that's fine. But everything there is false. And then this is laughable, just laughable. This is where, and I shouldn't say laughable, objective. This is ludicrous and obscenely wrong. That's objective. So where Trump continually says, we need an explanation about why the vote totals were changing. I just don't know how you could explain it to a second grader any better than how we have to explain it to Trump. The vote totals were changing because the votes were being counted. So that was happening. They're not all counted on election day. That is a fact. That is a known fact. That is known for many months and for every election. Almost every election has votes that are counted after election day. It's just there are projected winners. So the fact that he demands an explanation, and that some reasonably high up people like Matthew Whitaker Twitter. Trump retweets him saying the same thing. It's just silly. And then he says, I had such a big lead in these states going into an election night, these huge leads, and then they miraculously disappeared. Well, what was miraculous was, and this was not miraculous, this was just normal, they counted votes. They had votes, and then they counted them, and then they tabulated them, and then they reported them. That does not all happen on election day. So it's just absolutely insane that the president of the United States would say that kind of things, and that more Republicans wouldn't come out and say that that's silly. Now, many are saying you have to count them all. So many, to their credit, many Republicans are doing that, but just not all. All should be doing that. And then Biden should not wrongfully claim the office of the president. He says, I could make that claim also. Well, yes, he can make that claim. And no, Biden did not claim the office of the president. And he waited for the projection winner to be the case, which is this morning. And so now he is the president-elect, and now he can claim that. And no, it is not a certified result. That happens over weeks, and then the official electoral college vote happens in December. But every election cycle, you have a projected winner. That person is called the president-elect. They can call themselves a president-elect. Donald Trump can call himself the president-elect. He can call himself the king and queen of America. He is none of those three. He is the current president who lost his second term. And it's one of the very few presidents who's done that. And it was done in resounding fashion. And he's also a president who has lost two consecutive elections in the national popular vote by millions of votes each time. So those he can claim factually. He cannot claim he's the president or he's the president-elect factually. So there. There was a response from me in that tweet just because they have such a bizarre fixation on crowd size. They have such a bizarre fixation on crowd sizes. Can't we get past that? It's just absolutely silly. However, Eric Trump did tweet. Here's the details. Can anyone believe? Again, believe is not factual accounting. A candidate who had a tough time filling a room got certain millions of votes more than Obama did in 2008 and 2012. Well, first of all, the reason he doesn't fill a room is because of COVID, and they observe social distancing and public health measures. The Trump campaign does the exact opposite. It is one of the most insane violators worldwide of people handling the COVID crisis is the president of the United States of America and his family. And they went to the first debate where they probably had COVID and they did not report the results. They also went in and they did not wear their masks, and so basically they were spreading. So that's what that family does. And the fact, yes, he got 9 million more votes than Biden got 9 million more votes than Obama did in 2012. The population has grown. This election is much more, has much more participation than any election in U.S. history. And so that's been an amazing thing. And that's partly due to Eric Trump's father. And he has a mobilizing effect. And thankfully, people came out and voted against him. The fact that Trump set records in relation to Republican votes, that's true. That is irrelevant. It doesn't matter how he compares to other Republican administrations. What matters now is the Electoral College. Electoral College has been projected for Biden, so that's that. And